Right after our reset here for Karelia, we've played through 2 turns again. All right. Woo, a little bit different, not super different. Um, the Finns did manage to hang on the first turn. They, as you can see over here, this unit over here, the Finns did manage to hang on to that victory location right there for a little while through the first turn, and they were actually still in there as the second turn began. That unit was just too strong for the even DG. They were too strong for the Russians to drive out of there. But since the rest of the main line of resistance there, the black trench line or defense line, since they pretty much collapsed, that unit had to get out of there. So they have shifted, and the Russians are starting to blow through. Now, we'll go back over why I reset, because you see all the units over there with the white stripes on them. That is the hell. You got 2 armies. You got the 23rd and 21st. And this is over here. This is the headquarters for. Where's it at? All right, so that's the headquarters for the 23rd Army. They have white stripes. So he can only supply white stripe units. And the white stripe units can only draw a supply from him. Now, it's hexes. There's no movement points, so his range is 10. So he's got everybody within 10 hexes is in supply. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He could hit him. All right. And then the units on the other side, the 21st Army, which we will zoom over and take a look. All right. His range is 12. So if you get in here, you can see him sitting down here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So he can reach all these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So like I say, it's hexes. It's not movement points. Terrain doesn't mean anything. Zone of control, yeah, stay out of that. The little white markers you see in here, those are the ghost units. Okay, and what it does is, and I know I've probably already said it. So all of those Finnish units right there, they are in a defensive line of terrain. And you can see the dots here. This is the VT line. Y'all know what it means? You can tell me. All right? I'll look it up some other time. So that is the VT line, which I'm going to assume stands for Vamelsu or whatever, all the way up to that town that starts with T up there somewhere. So if a combat unit is in a defensive line, then the defensive line hexes adjacent to him get one of these ghost unit markers. And it's just to show that, they stretched the lines a little bit to fill these defensive positions so there were no just little open alleys for everybody to go through. So what that does is kind of like, you play in the Mark Semenich games where you have like the zone of control bomb. This is kind of similar. So until the unit in the hex, so let's put another ghost marker down here. So this guy here would be covering this thing here too. And this guy here would be covering that hex and the one on the other side. So if this stack gets eliminated, then that ghost marker will go away. This one would stay because that unit's still there. All right. And what this does, this prevents the Soviets from moving into these hexes. It's to simulate that there's actually troops there. It's kind of like you're saying that this unit is spread out across 3 lines now. So, and you can't overrun anything in a defensive line, so you don't have to worry about them attacking that. So for in order for the Soviets to clear these things out, they got to kill the units that are adjacent to them. So yeah, so it's kind of like a zone of control bomb thing, just like you would see in those GMT games. Huh? All right, so the Soviets have dashed up into the middle here. Oh, come on. The 21st Army. 23rd is going to push, as you were looking. They're probably going to keep pushing up the road over there. All right, and then 21st down here is going to push right through the middle and down along the coast road there, which you already see the armor's already dashed out over here along the coast road. So, and they're getting ready to do some fighting over here. So what these ghost things do in these defense lines allow you to stack more units up. So you can have 6 stacking points, and I'll show you one here. There's a unit right there, and you see that little yellow 2. That means he's worth 2 stacking points. And you can have 6 and a hex. 6 and a hex. Doesn't matter how many units, you can have 6 and a hex. All right, so you see the progress of turns 1 and 2. The Slovich are still on the move. The Finns did roll successfully for reinforcements on the first turn, which is the Kulmi arrival. So they get, not like those reinforcements are super or anything, but it makes this is the Kulmi force right here. And they're not very strong, but for some reason it makes the air power available for them a little better. So as opposed to if this group was not on the map, if they rolled a 6 for air power, they'd get 2 air points. Now if they roll a 6, they get 4. All right, and they still have to roll for reinforcements every turn. They only have 4 sets of reinforcements, as you can see over here, part of the light. So, and they come in sequence if you roll the dice successfully. So, this will be the next group, then the next group, then the next group. Soviets, on the other hand, they can pull 6 units, not steps, each time. So all of the 23rd Army group stuff is on the map already, the white stripes. Now the 21st is all that's left. So he's got all that stuff. And like I said, he pulls in 6 units every turn. All right, so that's up to game turn 2. We're going to go on here and play a couple more game turns, and we'll sort of shoot as we go. Oh, yeah, by the way, it looks like, driving to this corner over here to the northwest, the Soviets are trying to drive up the highways here, up here towards Viborg, whatever you want to call it. That's where the biggest victory points are. All right, let's get playing some more. We'll catch back up as soon as we're done with this. Talk to you soon. All right, end of 3 turns now. So the the 23rd Army is still trying to get this unit out of the way over here. Now, there's a couple interesting little rules here. If the Russians' final odds ratio is less than 2 to 1, it's an automatic no effect attack. That's only for the Russians, but that is not on the prepared offensive turns. So if they're using prepared offensive, they can attack at whatever odds. But non-prepared offensive turns, if it's less than 2 to 1 at the final odds, then it's considered no effect. So they went to attack that armory or that stack over there at 2 to 1. And, those of y'all that watch my other videos, I like to roll the dice if there's air power in the game to see if they're going to actually apply it. Because I can just, if both sides have 4 air points, it's hard to do solo. So, because if I use 1 air point for one, then I just use another one from the other side. And it's just a waste. So what I do is I roll dice and for each side. And if it's an odd number, yes, they use an air point. If it's an even number, they don't. So a lot of times I'll get cancellations, or one will get it and one won't. Well, this one here on that attack, the Finns got it, and it took the odds down to a 1 to 1, which was an automatic no effect. But then the Finns turned around on their turn, and that stack attacked this armor stack that was sitting here blocking them in, which now I'm going to mark him out of supply. But they were blocking him in, and he actually caused damage to them. There's also another little Finnish rule. And I think these are the rules that kind of balance this game out, because otherwise the Russians are just going to stomp holes in the Finns everywhere. So you have that zone of control thingy with the ghost armies. That helps. Well, the Finns also have, on the chart, if you get a result in brackets that says A1 and has brackets around it, or any loss that has brackets around it, if it's the Finns attacking, and you get, let's say, an A2 in the brackets, they only have to take 1 loss. If you have an A1, they don't have to take any losses if it's the Finns attacking. But if it's an A1 in brackets and it's the Russians that are attacking, they got to take the step loss. So there's another rule that sort of helps the fight a little bit for the Finns. All right, so you can see 23rd Army, they haven't got out of that first victory location off the main line of resistance. Well, I mean, they got a few units behind it, but they don't have any infantry units that can move 6. They all have movements of 4. Now, granted, through the woods it's only 1, and on the railroads and roads it's half. But they got to get that unit out of the way first, and I would think they would probably have that done by the end of the next turn. All right, 21st Army, let's shift over to their front. And they're making, well, they were making some headway. The attack down here in the south, that ended up being a failure pretty much, and they took a step loss, okay? Oh, you also notice that, well, I'll show you in a second. And then the Finns decided, I noticed in SCS games, the armor defense values are pathetic. You almost got to have infantry with them. Only problem is the infantry is not going to be an exploit type unit unless it's motorized. So the Finns decided they would jump out and attack the armory of this DG unit and this armored unit. Well, you can see there's only one army unit now in that stack. And it's because he's over here dead. And they lost one over there in that other attack for the 23rd Army. And then this DG unit, two of their biggest army units, they're like 6 strength attacking. There's 2 of them in there. One of them took a step loss. Now, they have 3 steps, so they're okay for another couple of hits. But so that was a successful attack for the Finns that caused some damage. But now are those units stuck out there, and they're going to get smacked in the face because you don't get any benefits for being in the woods. You don't get any double. Barrages aren't any different. I mean, you don't get any multipliers or any protection. That's another cool rule. So, Finnish artillery. You don't have a barrage phase. Combat or movement and barrage are merged together. But you have to choose. Do your artillery units fire first and then move, or do they move and then fire? So you have to, you could actually move all the units down. You know, you could have them all move first, and then you could have 3 different units fire on one Soviet unit hex. But you got to choose. It's one or the other. And it works that way during reaction movement for like overrun stuff, during their movement phase, and during exploitation phase. It works the same way every time, so keep that in mind. The Russians don't get that. They got to follow their sequence. All right, so that's the end of turn 3. No ground really gained yet, but they're to their striking points there on the next Finnish defensive line. All right, we're 4 game turns ended or through, and this turn here, the Finns did not get any reinforcements, and as a matter of fact, that sole unit sitting over yonder, he is still there and still causing hell to the Soviets. So they couldn't do nothing to him on the attack. No, actually, I take it back. I think he got a step loss caused. Oh, no, yeah, he got an old one of those A1 brackets, and he didn't, or D1. No, he lost a step when the Soviets attacked. And then he was out of supply. And on his turn, on the Finns' turn, he attacked the armor unit that was sitting where he's sitting now, and he actually destroyed him. He advanced into his hex, and then supply came up, and now he's back in supply. So, unless they can cut him off again, some of the rules for the Finns to keep them alive and playing, I'm starting to get it now because it's actually providing a little bit of balance to this game here. All right. I've also learned that with the defenses, with having that special zone of control rule, turn this down a little bit. With the special zone of control rule, that I realized, well, there's no attacks going on in here by the Russians, at least not at the moment. So I took the extra units that were in these 2 stacks and moved them down here so they could probably help with this down here. Also, at the start of turn 4, we did which I need to undo this now. They used another massive, or one of these another prepared offenses where they got the massive bombardment and the second second wave units. It did some damage. They took the victory location. Zoom in on that. It took that victory location right in here. Okay, so we got that one. It did some damage over here on the right, but they didn't advance any. They didn't take any of the locations, and the Finnish units that had advanced and attacked last time, they were able to get out. And when the Finns got their turn, they returned some of the pain back to the Soviets and destroyed some more of that armor down in there. All right. You can see these armor units over here. They got destroyed. They lost 2 that turn in this area, and another one from over yonder, from the 23rd Army. So I don't know. Like, the Finns didn't get any reinforcements this turn, so I don't know how this is going to go. The next turn starting, that means the Soviets will get another shot. Now they don't have they only have one more prepared offensive left, but they got to wait 3 turns before it'll be ready again, and probably need to save that in case it's a close fight, and the game would end because Stalin wants us to come home. You know, it might need that last one to get to these. You have to have 20 victory points to win. One side or the other has to have 20 victory points. So right now, the Soviet Union isn't even anywhere near that. They might have, 6, maybe 7. All right. The boss points, you can see the way over there. You can see the column, or the chart. It's sitting on 3. They actually lost 1, but then they cleared the main line of resistance. So they're actually sitting where they are. So that's good. As long as it doesn't go down, they're good. I've been rolling, I think a die roll, you got to roll a 1 through a 3. It gets subtracted 1, 4, 5, or 6. It stays up. Well, it's one of the, either way, I rolled the opposite, so it hasn't gone. It only went down the 1 time. All right, so there's the update after turn 4. We'll get back to you after we play another turn or 2. Hope everybody's watching the Super Bowl, because you can see what I'm doing while I'm watching it. It's on the TV behind me. All right.